We are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. And today is, it's been a long one. Today is Sunday, April the 30th, 23 years after the second millennium. 2023 for all you smarty pants. Hey, I'm joined, as I always am, by Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston, Mr. Zach in the back. How about you, fellas?
How about you,
man?
Well, we got a lot of news, man. You know what? We've been saying this for weeks. Last week, though, we were like, man, next week we should know, right? Next week we'll have a lot more to talk about, and we certainly do. Before we do, there was a 3 people knock on my door, like, hey, man, who can I call for a house? Looking for a house, looking to sell my house, looking to buy a house in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County. And I said, well, watch the show and I'll tell you. Jessica Andrews, folks, the Talents Group, she's so good, so good. 5-star realtor, as Jhead said there. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. She can sell your house. She can buy your house. She can find you an investment property if you're willing to do that, looking to do that. Got some college kids coming. Want to buy a house, have somebody else pay the rent, man. She can make it happen. Give her a call, Jessica Andrews with the Talons Group, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. All right, folks, we have got a lot to unpack tonight. A lot happened today. A lot happened in the past 48 hours when it comes to the transfer portal and football. Just today, Auburn has had 2 exits. Landon King, the tight end from Texas, Askosita, Texas, has I feel like he's been in the portal a few times, but he is finally in the portal again. Or I don't know if this is his first time.
He was in it once.
That's what I thought. He's been in multiple times.
He announced his intentions to enter the portal before the window, and he never did it.
Oh.
Now he's in there.
That's what I was going to say. Technically, yes, he's announced twice. This is his only actual time in the portal.
Okay. Landon King, talented tight end, man, a guy who I think we all believe might be a really good fit in this offense, but he's going to be taking his talents elsewhere. I think he reported a Colorado offer soon after he entered the portal. And then North Carolina offensive tackle Colby Smith, who was a big get for, at the time, was a big offensive tackle.
Yeah, Will Friend, highly connected to him, and it would not shock me to see if he, well, I guess he can't. The SEC rule would prohibit him from following Friend to Mississippi State. So he'll have to transfer elsewhere, maybe back somewhere in North Carolina to an ACC school or AAC school there with East Carolina. So, some places probably to look at.
Colby Smith, I think there are 10 now, 10 guys. I think Justin wrote about 10 guys in the portal from Auburn. I apologize for my mic. Zach says King has offers from Colorado, Utah, Louisville, Pitt, and Cal, which he'll land somewhere.
Those are good offers right now, man, because Utah just sent a tight end in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, or close to that. Yeah. Dalton Kincaid, was he first round?
Yeah. He was first round and probably the best tight end in the draft, if we're being completely honest. And look, Landon King is obviously a hybrid tight end. He's a flex guy. He's never going to be confused as an M-line blocker or a straight Y tight end. But he was kind of miscast here at Auburn out of necessity, playing wide receiver. He really never had the twitch to play on the outside, unfortunately. And as such, his play suffered, didn't get into the lineup a whole lot. And now, Rivaldo Fairweather being here, there just wasn't really an avenue for Landon to really play. So hats off to the kid. From everything I've heard, he's a really, really good young man, represented Auburn well, has a very good skill set. I hope that he lands on his feet somewhere, and I'll be interested to see where he goes.
Hey, he was very popular with teammates.
He's a cool kid. Cool kid. As far as entries into Auburn, we have yet to have any to report. Several visitors this weekend. Of course, last weekend you had Jaden Muskrat, the interior offensive lineman. We projected him to be from Tulsa coming in for a visit. We saw linebacker Jaheim Thomas from Cincinnati come in for a visit. Both of those guys are – Cole, I believe you heard Muskrat did not go to Arkansas as previously planned.
Yeah.
No, he didn't visit Arkansas as previously planned.
I guess he still has time if he were, if he wanted. One thing people have asked a lot is, since it's closing, does that mean that no, they don't have to have a decision today?
No.
They just have to be on a roster. I don't know the debt. Is it June 1st maybe before they're ineligible for the next season?
So it's not ineligible for the next season. Realistically, they can enroll anytime they so choose before the season begins, but most of these places are going to push for them to enroll before June 1 to get them in for the first mini-mester so they can start with summer conditioning, weight training, the install that they're going to put in through the senior practices and all that other good stuff. They want those guys there as soon as possible.
Absolutely. The transfer's got to be there, man. Because you're being dependent on to play. So you've got to know the system. You've got to be physically prepared, mentally prepared to go in about, 3 months?
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is because Isaac Ukwu, who visited the James Madison Edge transfer, highly wanted guy, he made it clear, Auburn was his first stop of many, and he's going to take his time because he felt like he was in a good position at James Madison. So he wants to make absolutely sure he's going to be in a good position since he's leaving there.
Well, understandable. Buddy Colt, yes, the cutoff tonight is midnight tonight. I think that's Eastern. No, is it local time or either way, it's tonight at midnight. Yes, Buddy Colt. But yes, the difference between this spring portal, and I want to give a rundown of these weekend visitors, but first, the difference between this portal and the December portal, and Christian Clemente and I were sitting there talking about this today, is in December, there was such a rush. Everybody was working in haste. They were ready to get this decision over with, get enrolled so they could be there for January semester. And so, people were visiting, and it was typically within 48 hours, you knew whether they were coming to Auburn or not, or if they were going to take another visit. It didn't really bode well for the home team. These kids right now, they've got, a couple of weeks, and most of the guys that we've talked to already are taking other visits. So it's a lot more slower paced. It was slower to get in the portal, and it's going to be slower to get them out of the portal and enrolled in your school. But Auburn's got a big weekend this weekend. We've been all over it from the jump. Wide receiver Montana Lemonius Craig from Colorado came in. Who's Isaac Ukwu, the defensive lineman, the edge rusher from James Madison came in. They've already left. Wide receiver Caleb Burton from Ohio State was in for a visit. Jalen McLeod, the rush in from App State.
Yeah.
And then Sunday afternoon, Mr. Casey Thompson, quarterback transfer from Nebraska via Texas.
Yes.
Arrived, and well, I tell you what now, he was taken care of the moment he stepped outside his vehicle. Some other news, man. We saw some other guys. Like we said, this is the end of the portal. Today is the last day. Everybody's on pins and needles watching for the non-graduate transfers. Of course, we ended up having quarterback Michigan State, Peyton Thorne, entered the transfer portal with 2 years to play. I thought he had one at first, but yes, he does have 2 years of eligibility as opposed to Casey Thompson, who has 1 year of eligibility. Both are grad transfers. Larry Nixon, Cole. You had a story on him, inside backer from North Texas.
Yep.
Has set a visit for Auburn for next weekend. And then there were a couple of wide receivers entered the portal this weekend. Keon Coleman from Michigan State. And who was the one that we were talking about in the text?
No, I think it's from UTSA, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't think
San
of
Antonio. It was a name that we would butcher. Absolutely. Jhead, I think this was All Conference USA, Zachary Franklin.
Yeah, he's big time. My gut instinct tells me watch out for Oregon on that one. His offensive coordinator left UTSA to replace Kenny Dillingham at Oregon when Kenny took over at Arizona State. My instincts tell me that they're going to be a major player on that. And look, if NIL is going to be a consideration, Phil Knight will ensure that is taken care of. So I would lean towards that one right now. But look, Hugh Freeze has surprised me with the guys that he's had on campus. I mean, I think we kind of knew that there was interest in Ukwu and McLeod. And obviously when Casey Thompson hit, I think every one of us, we lit it up like, okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And then the things started to circulate on Thorne. And obviously there's intrigue there. So you've got what you would probably say 1A and 1B at quarterback targets. You're not going to be disappointed if you land either or. You need a quarterback in this class. Both those guys could probably be successful in a Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery offense. And we can probably talk about that a little bit more ad nauseum a little later on. We can break down play styles. I know Cole's already kind of done that somewhat. But a lot of action today, a lot of needs out there. And then I think there's another wide receiver from Colorado that we're also watching in addition to Lamonius Craig. And his name escapes me right now. But
Jordan Tyson, I believe, is his name.
Yes, Jordan Tyson. And look, let's talk needs real quick. I think you want, one quarterback? You've got probably 2 wide receivers that you want in this class.
Yep.
At this point, obviously, they want an inside linebacker if they can get one, a good one.
Yep.
1 to 2 pass rushers, 1 to 2 offensive linemen. I'm leaning 2 there. So you're probably you're trying to get 8 more guys out of the portal or from junior college, because one of those offers that's come out lately is from junior college.
I was going to say Markel Bell, the junior college offensive tackle from Mississippi. They're trying to get him in right now. Zach, I was going to say, man, y'all give us a call, 701-779-9585. Zach, you got us somebody?
Yep, we got our first caller of the night.
Breakthrough.
5960. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
What's going on, fella?
Look at here.
Early.
Oh, man, he's getting the show started, breaking the
seal. Where I fit in at, man.
At the top, Kid Country. Mr. Edward from Selma. How about you, big dog?
My way to start this thing out right.
I like it.
Oh, what y'all think about old Casey Thompson, man?
He's an upgrade. Instant.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think about him, Edward?
Well, you heard me mention all the quarterbacks. You'd have heard me mention TJ. You'd have heard me mention Holden, and you know my thoughts I have on Holden. Mm-hmm. But if one guy you never heard me say anything about, and that's number 9, Robbie Ashford.
That's true.
I love Robbie Ashford. Just not sold on him as my quarterback.
I hear you. I hear you.
Ashford is an elite athlete. Robbie Ashford can help this football team. Not saying that he can't, develop, but I think sometimes you just have to accept things for how they is.
And Cody Burns and Jonathan Wallace.
That draft that you seen the other night.
Say that again, Edward. I was interrupting you, man.
But it's not a quarterback.
I'm sorry.
I think he could possibly play several positions.
Yep.
Cole likes him.
I was telling my friend, I said, I like the kid, man, but quarterback ain't his position. You could use him in different packages to do different things. Maybe use him as a receiver some, line him up in the backfield some. I even think Robbie Ashford, in my personal opinion, I think he'll be a hell of a punt returner. Robbie Ashford remind me of Slash, just somebody that probably could do a little bit of everything. He got a little Percy Harvard in him. In them first 20 steps that he got, it's just elite, man. You don't see that every day.
Mm-hmm.
But Casey Thompson he's a poor man Bo Nix. I mean, he a slower version of Bo Nix, if you ask me. So
you're not sold on him.
What we have.
You're not sold on him, Edward?
Oh, Casey Thompson?
Yeah.
He's an upgrade on what we have.
I think it works.
What we have, man. Like that's all I can pretty much say about it. I mean, if he came there today, he'd probably be the best quarterback on the roster. Much as I love Holden, hey, I'm all about Auburn, man. If he's the best on the roster, then I need him. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going. I want to see him in the SEC against SEC defense, and we'll let the chips fall where they lay. Like I say, I still like Holden. I like Hank coming in. But if they feel like Casey Thompson's the man, I trust Coach Hugh Freeze, man. I say it like that. I trust Freeze. If Freeze know what he needs better than Edward know what Freeze needs. So if Freeze say Casey Thompson the man he needs, I'm on board with it, man.
I wish more message board posters subscribe to that idea of thought there, Edward, especially when it comes to Bruce Pearl and basketball. Quick, let me touch on a couple of things. Let me touch on a couple of things you said.
They never played a sport, ain't never had a jersey on of any kind, but they know more than the coach know. They know what play you should have ran. They know who you should have recruited, what they should have did. I don't pay people like that any attention. But I say this, I think Auburn set up to have some success this year. Hugh Freeze lean on his running game, and his defense is solid as what I think it will be. We got a chance to be in a lot of ball games. We just need a quarterback that don't turn the ball over. And that's the only thing I see from Thompson. I don't need the 10 or 11 interception from you, no matter who the quarterback is, because a team that's struggling on offense, the last thing I need to do is get the other team the ball. So
yeah,
that should be an emphasis. Don't turn the ball over, man.
That's key. I will say this. This is what I was trying to interrupt you by saying, though. You talked about Robbie Ashford playing another position. We saw Cody Burns do it. Very selfless. Jonathan Wallace did it. Mm-hmm. Man, Robbie is such a competitor. I just don't see him going, okay, I give up. I'll go play somewhere else. I swear another position. He will say he will go to UAB, Jacksonville State, wherever, before he changes position. I believe that. I don't think you'll see Robbie Ashford.
Yeah, I really think that about him too, man.
Become the next Cody Burns or Jonathan Wallace. I just don't see it happening. As far as upgrade goes, you think Casey Thompson is better than the worst of the three Auburn has right now? Absolutely. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm glad he got in kind of at the end of things, and Hugh smart in how he do this. You don't really want to lose Holden, man.
No.
So hopefully can't nobody enter the portal before Thompson make his decision, man.
It was perfectly planned, perfectly executed. Not only did you have Casey Thompson show up on the last day the portal's open, but you had Peyton Thorne enter on the last day to enter.
That brings up
one guy hit the portal that it kind of hurt me. I ain't gonna lie. I was excited about Jeffrey Ember, man. I think his upside was, oh man. So we basically did a Lawrence Johnson, Jeffrey Ember trade, and I believe Purdue got the better of that.
Maybe.
But, hey, I understand.
Hey, Edward, let me pitch something to you there, man. I've been thinking about this, and I'm the one who has said, look, like a message to Robbie, look, change positions. You be a great receiver, great, whatever, utility guy. But something I've been thinking about here, these grad transfers are really interesting to this staff at quarterback. Yep. That's what seems to be. I don't want a 3-year guy. I want a guy that's experienced, number one, and a guy that pretty much, is a grad transfer. Might that mean that they want to give Robbie a year and say, hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
After a year with Robbie, hey, we don't want you to go anywhere because you could be our guy in a year. Just give me a year with you. Give me a year working with you.
My thing with that right there.
Yeah, you just hit on.
But if I give Robbie a year, guess what I just did? I just gave Hank a year too.
Exactly.
I got my 4-star Walker White on campus by now.
You got Holden another year too.
If you do that, I still got Holden and getting him another year too. If you do that, Robbie got to make some hell of improvements in order just to take over the team next year now. Because I still say Hank Brown, I like him. You like him, so
yep.
It's really not never for Robbie. I don't think he got a year two waste.
I disagree. I agree and I disagree because it really, Edward, it depends on who they land at quarterback. But I'm with Cole. All this does is set the table for us to solidify getting 7 or 8 wins this year. Because now you have, if you land one of these backs, whether it be Peyton Thorne or whether it be the young man from Nebraska, Casey Thompson, you are setting the table to put yourself in position for a solid 7 or 8, maybe even 9 wins with a bowl win this year. Get that top 10 recruiting class. And now you've had a full year to develop exactly what you have in your inventory. You know what you have. So either A, you're going to go out and you're going to get another transfer quarterback because you've got proof of concept. Yeah, I used it. Proof of concept on the field of what you can do with Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery offense. And you can sell a transfer, and you've got a better team around them to sell. Or two, you've developed in-house, and you've got Robbie, or you've got Holden, or you've got any other of those quarterbacks that you've got on your roster ready to go. So I think it behooves us to have a grad transfer. It sets us up in a fantastic position. And I think that this has been really well played and executed by the staff.
I agree.
I agree. I understand exactly what y'all said. And maybe that's how it plays out, you know.
Well, I understand what you're saying too, man.
Transfer portal. We're not really feeling the effects of the transfer portal because, hey, there's nobody that's gonna leave our team that Georgia, Alabama want right now. No way. Just be honest. But the transfer gonna make keep a lot of people up in a few years, man. When we get them 4 and 5 stars and they hit the portal, there's gonna be a lot of people crying.
Edward, would it shock you if I told you that of all the 20 transfers that have left, because maybe we're at 19 in total, only going to land at Power 5 schools as of today?
That's sad.
How many?
So right now, Jeffrey Imba landed at Purdue. You have the offensive guard, Keandre Jones, that landed at Florida State. And those are the only two. And Landon King is showing a lot of Power 5 offers as of today. Everybody else has landed at G5 or FCS.
Yeah.
That speaks to the talent that we had on our level, that we had on our team, because you're SEC blue blood like Auburn and players leaving, and nobody else in Power 5 even want them. So.
Well, take that back. Dawson landed at Cincinnati. He's going to Power 5. So.
Thank y'all.
Edward, appreciate you, big dog. Hey, another thing I thought was interesting. Dude, all I did was interrupt him the entire time. My bad, big dog. I thought Justin had a fantastic look at the 2021 class this afternoon on Auburn Live on 3. Of that entire class, only 5 guys.
Is it 5?
I think he said 5, didn't he?
It was 5 left out of the class.
5. And I'd like to know who they are. I was getting ready.
Jarquez Hunter, Caden Bridges,
Garner Langlow.
I can't remember the others now. I'll tell you. Y'all keep going. I'll tell you.
You got us another call, Zach? Okay. Appreciate you, Edward.
6247. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Chris Thomas from Auburn, Alabama.
All right.
Well, how about you, Chris?
I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Jeffrey Lee. I got the pleasure of meeting him coaching soccer recently, and he's awesome. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Chris. Hi. I big how about you to Chris, dude. I have no idea what I'm doing. Is Chris still on?
Yeah.
He's still on. Chris, listen, dude, I used your 4-back defensive, whatever you call that, formation.
Yes, sir.
We lost 15-0. Dude, we played Chris's team. He had 4, what do they call it, Chris? Defenders?
Yeah.
And we've only usually had 3. Well, he had 4. Dude, we had like 1 shot on goal the entire time against this team. They beat us, I don't know, 12-0 or something. And I was like, man, what is that? What are you doing here? Just, and he sat down and showed me. Now, I will say, Chris, our best player, Jose, wasn't there. You know Jose.
Okay, yeah.
Our good striker. I know what that means now.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. And then
Y'all played the kid with his name's Trent.
he must have scored 8 goals. No kidding, Chris.
Dude, he's something else. He's special.
I said he needs to be playing on the travel ball team, dude. He's too good to be playing regularly. Yeah. I was talking smack to him.
But anyway.
Well, Chris,
age group?
I just wanted to give you a shout out.
Appreciate you, Chris, man. Sure do, man.
Jeffrey talking smack at 7U soccer.
He's like Jason Kidd. He's like, bump into me.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I checked on Justin's story there. He actually included the transfers that came in 2021. So TJ Finley and Donovan Kaufman were the other 2.
Wow.
So that's Garner Langlow, Caden Bridges, Jarquez Hunter, TJ Finley, and Donovan Kaufman are left from that class.
And something makes me think that list is going to get updated here relatively soon, fellas.
It could.
3 high school kids from the 2021 class.
Yeah.
3. And none of them have played significant snaps. Snaps.
You know, that happened with I think it was the 2018 class.
Wouldn't be surprised to see all 3 leave, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. The 2018 class was similar. Am I right, Jhead?
Very.
I think Joey Gatewood was the headliner of that class.
Yeah, it was kind of a wasted class because you also had Asa Martin in that class. You had the big running back from Mountain Brook.
Harold Joyner. Now that class was top 10, I think.
Yeah.
But
top 10, and it busted.
Yeah.
Completely.
Zach, you got somebody else?
Yep. 8861. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Kevin from
Kevin. What's happening, big dog?
Hey. How about Cam?
I think you said Cam Coleman.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that. You said Cam Coleman. Kevin, your phone cut out there a little bit, but I guess status quo, you know.
Sure.
We know that he's
good answer.
We know that he's not in a rush with things. He said that multiple times. Said Auburn, A&M, LSU was in there. Clemson. We still, I still like where Auburn sits right now.
Don't y'all think he's a December guy? Like he's probably going to be a signing day guy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a roller coaster, right? It's going to be, oh man, we're feeling good. Oh man, he's going to Alabama. Oh man, we're feeling good. He's coming to the home game. Oh man, he's going to LSU.
Yeah.
That's one you want to OV in December. Mm-hmm. You want to hold that card on him. Perry Thompson can OV in June all he wants, whatever. That one needs to wait because I don't think he's anywhere close to committing. And the great thing is Alabama is not considered in his top group right now.
It's weird.
He's not mentioned them. That's for sure.
Well, my understanding of the situation is they slow played him, and now they've tried to get into the mix some. But I think the kid's just kind of like, you didn't like me then.
It had to happen.
Now you want to get in.
Mm-hmm. It had to happen at some point, right?
Right. Now,
look, he's a top 10 player.
Yeah. The kids like that, I mean, look, sometimes when Alabama starts to press, it there, right? But as of today, I don't feel like he's on verge of committing to them by any means. Like you need to hurry up and get him in for a visit.
Yeah.
It's not a situation where you got to press. You keep letting that string play out some.
Yep.
I think Auburn's absolutely winning the head-to-head right now with them. I mean, I don't think there's any question if there was a Auburn-Alabama choice for him, it's Auburn.
Yeah,
I think it's Auburn against the field right now. I'm not ready to jump on Keith, on the Keith train and put my prediction in. But if I had to, if somebody said, "Hey, look, you need to make a prediction tomorrow on Cam Coleman," I would put it in a prediction for Auburn at about 60%.
Absolutely,
I agree.
Well, when you say the field, that means there's really not a clear number 2. I mean,
right?
We can't go
absolutely.
Texas A&M is absolutely not, you can't say that with him right now.
Yeah, it's not Auburn, Texas A&M. It's Auburn against the field, which is a great way to look at it, Kevin.
Yep,
it's Auburn and everybody else right now, as far as I'm concerned.
I might have LSU as the number 2. I think there's some real heat coming from down there, and he's very intrigued. Obviously, look, they grow wide receivers on trees down there.
Yep.
And have had some legitimate success. So that would be understandable. But I think LSU would probably be number 2, A&M 3, coming in there somewhere at 4 or Clemson.
Sounds about right.
Nice, Kevin. I like the little weekly Cam Coleman update. Not a bad gig there. Zach, you got us another?
Yep. 8785. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Jimmy outside of Selma. How y'all doing?
What's up, Jimmy, outside of Edward?
Yeah, out there with Edward.
Hey, that's right. I was going to commit last week, but I couldn't get in after Walker got talking. I enjoyed that. He did a good job.
He's awesome.
And I believe he's 100% in. He's faithful and he's honored, and he's just a great guy. But listen, the reason I called was about recruiting. when y'all go out and you talk to these kids, what's different now when Freeze being here than when you had like Tuberville, Chiswick, all miles on there? What's different now that they're going to be honest and stay with us, or are they going to toy with us a little bit, kind of like, when West Alabama comes in here and starts wanting him, they turn and go on? Because, I know in the past, like TJ, he committed on national TV. He was going to Auburn, he ended up going to Alabama. Reuben and all that. But what are y'all seeing different in Coach Freeze that we got a chance to go on some of these kids and not be toyed with Alabama doing what they're doing to us? Because it's kind of aggravating, watching, listening to that.
Fantastic
Anyway,
question.
I am listening. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Jimmy. That's a fantastic question. I got a couple of different angles. Jhead, I think you're itching at something too. I'll get mine out of the way. First of all, they're recruiting different types of kids, and when you look at who they've got committed, these guys, I don't see any of the 5 guys that are committed right now even looking elsewhere. Jaden Lewis, Mon Lane, Walker White, Martavius Collins, and
Jaden Lewis. Oh, you said Jaden Lewis.
The quarterback out of Moody. No, you said Mon Lane.
Mon Lane, Jaden Lewis.
Yeah.
Burnett.
Yeah,
Who?
Fat.
Oh, Jamarian. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, dude. So the type of kids these guys are. You think about Amon Lane, man. He's locked in. He's not going anywhere. If Hugh Freeze upheld his commitment. As far as I don't see any of these guys right now flipping. Jhead?
No, definitely.
So for me, the biggest thing is the experience that Hugh Freeze has in the league. You're talking about a prior head coach at Ole Miss that's been head-to-head with Kirby, that's been head-to-head with Nick before. He understands what he's up against. For Chiswick and Malzahn, you're talking about first-time head coaches realistically at the Power 5 level. I mean, I guess Chiswick was at Iowa State, but you're not recruiting the same caliber of kid at Iowa State that you're recruiting at Auburn.
Yeah.
So understanding the landscape, not understanding what it takes to win a recruiting battle, that's completely different. And Tuberville, while he had been a prior Power 5 head coach in the SEC, look, I love Tommy Tuberville, but when Saban got to West Vance, yeah, Tubbs, he really didn't want to recruit the way he needed to compete at that point. He had just started to mail it in to a degree, and you could see that reflect our class before he was actually dismissed the season following. So I think you see a guy that's reinvigorated by being back in the show. I think you see a guy that's got experience, that's been in big-time battles, that understands how to read the room.
Hungry.
Yeah, so they're not going to invest in kids they don't think they actually have a shot at, first and foremost. And that's the best way not to get played, is to not invest your time and your chips in a person that's going to get you played in the very end. They're being very smart and strategic about how they're going about it. And look, that comes from experience. Jeffrey, you've been doing this for 20 plus years now, I think?
19.
And during that time period, the majority of coaches as Auburn has brought in have all been guys that they're just a little green or a little inexperienced, or they didn't necessarily understand what it took to recruit, probably from a top-down perspective. Now, Chiswick had a phenomenal staff, but I think Chiswick's staff did more work than Chiswick did from a one-on-one standpoint with recruits. I think Freeze is all in and understands the intensity with which he needs to recruit on an everyday basis.
And listen, the one thing I look back on all the flips, we're talking all those flips from TJ Yeldon to Reuben Foster to Peaches, what's the kid's name? Brent Callaway.
Yes.
Listen, man, if you think that was straight up head to head, and it's not a secret. Recruits get bought, and Auburn's bought their fair share. So I'm not saying anything against Alabama or anybody else but if you don't think money played a part in a lot of these flips, that Auburn might have flipped too. I'm just saying it happened, but now you've got NIL, and it's kind of leveled the playing field to an extent. NIL's great, but it's also taxable income.
Yes.
So that bag man still has a purpose.
Yeah.
So
very big purpose.
I'll say real quick and then we'll move on. I know we got another caller. I haven't been covering it as long as you, Jeffrey. I didn't get to do Tuberville, Chiswick, Malzahn. I got Brian Harsin. That was my first year. and now
Welcome to the show, big dog.
Well, look, I go on the road and I see guys all the time, and last year, my board of guys that I was wanting to go see on a regular basis changed a lot. Just being honest. This year, it's been the same guys. I hadn't had to change it up. They're still in it with all the main guys they started with. It seems like, if not all of them, then most of them. So, on my list to go see guys this summer and whatever, it's the same guys. It's still the same guys, and I don't see that changing. I think that's a big change, and I think the other big change is, when we're trying to think of questions to ask these guys, one of them is, well, do you ever hear from the head coach? Do you ever hear from Hugh Freeze?
Oh, yeah.
Well, every once in a while with Brian Harsin, I'd ask that. I mean, I'd always ask that question, but every once in a while it was, not so much. I talked to Zach Etheridge,
Yeah.
or sometimes, honestly, I'll just be honest here. Some kids like to say they're talking to the head coach because it sounds good. That does happen.
Flex.
Yeah, yeah, and you'd hear them say that, and they just wouldn't have much to say about him. But I've been talking to him. It'll end right there. Oh yeah, Coach Hugh Freeze. He called my mom. He calls my dad. He's
Every morning.
He wants to be the coach talking to me the most. I can't tell you how many guys have told me that. And then I'll go, well, is he? Is he the one? Oh yeah, he's the one talking to me the most, no doubt. So those are the two biggest things for me, and I don't really see that changing right now.
I agree. Hey, it was a fantastic question, Jimmy, and I'm curious to see that the tide changes a little bit. No pun intended. Hey, Zach, you want to come in here? And I know you mentioned off the show a little bit that maybe a potential target from the transfer portal has emerged.
Yeah, Jackson State edge rusher Niles Gaddy, who was at Tennessee, 6'6", 250 edge rusher, was first team SWAC All Conference, was going to be FCS preseason All-American. I got the word earlier today because I talked to his dad pretty closely, but that one HBC player being drafted, that's affecting some of these top prospects.
To do what? Affecting them how?
They think they got to go P5.
Oh.
Because you look at Dalton Kincaid, you look at Tank Dell, those are two guys who came from FCS programs. When you look at it, the last 3 Walter Payton Award winners haven't been drafted. The past 6 Buck Buchanan Award winners haven't been drafted. The FCS and HBCU guys are feeling it after yesterday. So I would expect any grad transfers, they're probably going to come pretty soon.
You know what, Zach? I'm glad you said that. It sparked something. When I talked to Isaac Ukwu yesterday, that's the guy from James Madison, which is, that's a Division I school, but they're lower tier right now. They're just trying to get their feet wet in Division I. He felt like he was leaving a good situation there. He'd said that. He's like, if I'm going to make a decision after leaving what I had there, because he was thinking he was going to go pro from there. He had good numbers. But to your point, he feels like he's got to move up to get drafted. How it was 64 or whatever from the SEC, got drafted in the draft. 5 Auburn players. I think Ukwu mentioned that too. Hey, they talked to me about the guys getting drafted from Auburn today. It's a big pitch now. That was, and going from 1 being drafted last year to Roger McCreary to 5 this year couldn't have happened more. It was perfectly timed, well timed.
And listen, the Sun Belt, as described to me by one college football coach, is SEC AAA. Okay, and James Madison plays in the Sun Belt. That is a really good football league with good. Now, look, they don't have the depth of talent, obviously, that a Power 5 conference has, but skill-wise, they've got dudes that can play in this league, pass rushers. They've got guys. So if you can handpick a few, and we're looking at 2 Sun Belt transfers to help us impact that jack outside linebacker position. Yep. And both those guys have the twitch to play that spot and really contribute for us next year. Now, I don't expect them to go out and lead the league in sacks or anything, but those are guys that can plug holes for you. We talk about what are you trying to accomplish? What's your objective in the transfer portal? Is to raise the floor, right? Mm-hmm. To get it to where there's more competition at each and every spot. Those guys create competition in a big way in our jack outside linebacker room.
Well, if you remember a target that we talked about on this show last year, Isaiah Land.
Oh, yeah.
FAMU wins to Buck Buchanan, doesn't get drafted yesterday.
That's wild because he was a multi-sack guy. Tons of sacks.
He had 20 sacks in 2021.
Ridiculous.
Great day.
Yeah, he was.
So that is an excellent point, Zach. Excellent point.
It's
And let me pose a question to all three of y'all and to everybody watching, man. Would you feel comfortable if Auburn had to play Troy? I mean, would you feel super comfortable about that?
Not this year.
Look, when Freeze started talking about how he should play Troy for a spring, I was like, no, man, you might want to hold on that, brother. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, because if you think John Summerall isn't going to literally sell out to win that game, and that they don't have athletes over there, they don't have a chip on their shoulder, like, look, Auburn overlooked me. I could play at this school. And on top of that, hey, I'm going to show out so I can show some of these P5 schools I'm ready to play at that level and get some of that NIL money. It would be game on, Cole. I'm telling you, they would give Auburn everything they absolutely wanted.
Absolutely.
I know this won't be popular. I know people in the chat are going to hate me for this. I can name 8 FCS schools that I think could beat Auburn next year.
Ooh.
If Auburn went and played North Dakota State, would any of you guys feel comfortable predicting a win right now?
No. I mean,
if you played in
they should win, but
they have a dome, so the weather wouldn't be an issue. Like, I mean, if you played North Dakota State anywhere, I don't think that's a guaranteed win.
Auburn should win those games, obviously, even with the roster you got right now, but you don't feel comfortable.
No.
That's my point with Troy too. I mean, you should beat Troy, but you don't like that they're on the schedule, right? If they were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue. We got like 5 callers now. So
All right, let's roll with them.
Zach's gonna got everybody fired up in the chat. They're gonna call in about playing North Dakota State.
7927. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Brianna from Huntsville.
Brianna?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So I was wondering if you guys have any insider information about Casey Thompson's visit today.
As far as how it's going, no. But I will say that I made the remark earlier, but listen, this guy, so typically when recruits get there for their visits, they park or they're pulled in the front door of the complex, the new facilities, get walked in the front door, and there's people greeting them and, hey, how you doing? Come on in. Welcome. Well, Casey Thompson and some dude that was with him, I don't know if it was his father, his brother, his friend, or what, but there was 2 guys, him and the other. When he pulled in and parked, Auburn's a staff member, I'll leave it at that, sprinted out the front door, down the steps, sprinted to his car, put him back in the car, went around, opened up Hugh Freeze's private gate, and took him through the private gate, Hugh Freeze's private gate, and into the building from the back. So that's why I said you talking about a red carpet treatment. I've never seen that. I haven't seen them do that since they moved into the new building, and even going back to the complex. Gus Malzahn and Harsin, for that matter, had the side entrance too, but they never brought kids in that way, at least that we're aware of. But man, I'm telling you what, they sprinted to his car, put him back in the car, beep, beep, opened up the gate, and he drove around back and went in.
Don't you think that's twofold? 1, complete VIP. 2, they don't want you talking to that kid.
Right.
Period.
That's what I said. I said, you think they did that because we were sitting here?
Oh, 100%
Yes.
they did, dude.
Yes, they did.
So Brianna, I hope we'll know more tomorrow, and I'm sure we will. I don't know that Casey will do an exit interview when he leaves, but we'll have an idea of kind of how it went and what expectations might come from it, like maybe where he sits and whether or not Peyton Thorne is going to visit, and whether or not they want to go ahead and get Casey Thompson if they can. Is Casey Thompson going to take other visits to other schools? I know Caleb Burton, the Ohio State transfer wide receiver, will take other visits, but he doesn't really want to talk about it. He doesn't really want to. So it's tough to get this information on these transfers, but the quarterback stuff, especially with Auburn's tight lip on them, maybe it'll open up a little bit tomorrow, because again, you don't want Holden running to the portal right now.
Correct.
Tomorrow is going to be a little bit easier because you don't have that weight on you. He can't run to the portal. So maybe we'll have some stuff leaking out tomorrow. I certainly hope so. What was that question?
Like what time is he supposed to be leaving?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, because I think there's like 4 or 5 people who asked when he was leaving.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon. I don't know. Man. I don't want to give anything away, but
wink when you do that, does it?
Yeah.
Tell them to subscribe to Auburn Live, and they can find out when he leaves.
Hey,
there you go.
There we go.
Hopefully. Brianna, fantastic question. I feel like your husband put you up with that, though.
Well, he did put me up to saying that he's happy to see Keith leave.
Oh. Wow.
George is going to take that hard, Brianna.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
We do have to talk a little bit more now, don't we? We are required to speak more.
56.
Thank you, Brianna.
5649. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is the Dean Machine calling from Virginia.
All right.
Had a question real quick regarding. Well, first off, Jhead, are you in the military, man?
I am.
What branch?
I'm in the Coast Guard.
Branch.
Okay. I'm just looking at your haircut, man.
Oh, okay.
And every time I see you, I was like, that haircut's too squared away for him to not be in the military.
I appreciate you, sir. A little fade action to it, absolutely.
Hey, when I tell my wife I'm ready for a haircut, I tell her give me the Jhead. There it is. Right?
Give me the Jhead.
There it is.
Also, Jeffrey, hey man, I'm going to be honest with you. As good as Zach looks tonight, we still need Jessica on here. So if you could work on that for me, I'd appreciate it. The big question is like eventually Auburn wants to get to a point to where Alabama and Auburn are, or not Alabama and Auburn, Alabama and Georgia are regarding recruiting, right? So where we're not worried about the transfer portal so much, we're more worried about the high school recruits and then plugging holes to where we're not focused on a quarterback from Nebraska coming into Auburn and saving the day. Yeah. Is there a win-loss ratio to where we should look at on this first year for success-wise for Hugh Freeze? You know what I mean? I mean, is it like 7 wins to kind of make a statement, or what's it going to take for us to get to that point?
You know what?
My overall question.
I like that, Dean, because Cole, Hugh Freeze talks about flipping the script. I talk about flipping the script in the living room first. Cole talks about flipping the script on the field first. The chicken, the egg, hell, I don't know. Cole, what's your number that Auburn has to get to this year? What does Auburn have to do this fall to flip the script in the living rooms come December?
I honestly don't think it's a number. I think we've talked about the schedule and we see 5 to 6 wins, right? With some toss-up games. Win a toss-up game. Beat LSU, beat Texas A&M, beat Alabama or Georgia. Obviously, that would be huge. But beat one of those schools that seems like a toss-up, one that you cannot go, that's a win for Auburn. You got to beat one of those, at least one. And you will make a little bit of a statement there. And, of course, win the ones you're supposed to win. Yeah. And you should end up with 7 to 8 wins. You could.
And I think that's the most important thing, Cole. I think most importantly is you've got to win the ones you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And then try to get you a couple of those toss-ups. Does anybody remember or know what Hugh Freeze's first season at Ole Miss, what his record was?
6-6. And that team was pitiful. Like
really?
That was one of the best coaching jobs I have ever seen.
Okay.
The previous year, they were underneath Houston Nutt. I think they won 1 or 2 games.
I think it was 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think they won 1 game, and they had not won an SEC game in 2 years, or maybe it was 2 SEC games in 2 years. They were absolutely desolate with SEC level talent, and they were somehow able to cobble together 6 wins that year.
And that was his best recruiting class too. I mean, he had a damn good class that year, right?
Yes. He had a top 10 class 2 years after that, he had an even bigger class. The year they ruled in DK Metcalf and a couple other guys. I think they got a 5-star quarterback out of Louisiana. I don't believe the kid ever panned out. He ended up transferring to Michigan eventually.
Oh, Shea Patterson?
Yeah. Shea Patterson.
Yeah.
So I think that class actually ended up being a little bit higher. But as far as impact players are concerned, Kim Dichie was a first-round guy. Laquan Treadwell was a first-round guy of that group. Laramie Tunsil was a first-round guy. I mean, they literally knocked it out of the park in that recruiting class. And so I'm with you, Jeffrey. To me, it's talent acquisition. If they could follow the script of Chiswick's first year, 8 wins, so it was 7 and then a bowl victory and a top 10 recruiting class, to me, that sends the statement that Auburn is here to compete. And then next year, you leverage the portal a little bit. You got some proof of concept on your sleeve here. You've shown some things. Your transfer portal class could probably be even a little bit better. And then the following cycle, you can get out of using the transfer portal, except for the fill holes, because now you've got 2 full recruiting classes of really putting things together to get the talent you want on the field.
Did he go public? I'm sorry, Jhead. While you were talking, Ron Roberts tweeted out, it looks like Auburn's got a commitment, or at least one coming. I'm guessing it's Jalen McLeod, the Jack edge rusher from App State, who is on campus right now for a visit. But he tweeted out, I'll be ripping his shirt off.
Okay, backs into win.
Nothing yet, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
I hope he waits till tomorrow.
Be nice, right?
Yeah, wait till you leave, man.
We need a crack research staff right up real quick.
He's also leaving tomorrow afternoon.
If that happens, you're going to see my computer doing this right here.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Oh, we lost the signal.
We'll just drop Cole to the back for a minute so he can get out the info. And then,
all right. I'll have to get that McLeod story ready. I'm assuming that's who it is. Cole, can you post that tweet on the corner? I'm afraid if I do it, my stream will have shatty. All right.
We'll hit the next caller while he does that. 8466. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Eric Moss from Sheffield.
What's up, Eric Moss?
What's up, man?
What's on your mind tonight, big dog?
Hey, do you get the feeling that Thorne and Montgomery from Michigan State might be a package deal?
Thorne and Coleman?
Coleman. My bad.
Is he talking about that wide receiver? Keon Coleman? Jhead, I don't know much about this.
You've seen differing things out there with regard to various recruiting sites, what they've reported. Some people are saying that Thorne and Keon Coleman weren't necessarily on the same page, that it might actually help Coleman return to Michigan State. There are other people that are saying that he's not coming back to Michigan State regardless. I think I need to do a little bit more research there before I can give you a true answer. But there are conflicting reports out there as far as what Keon Coleman's status would be and whether or not he would want to come to Auburn should we land the quarterback from Michigan State.
I really like Casey Thompson, but I'd like to pair Coleman with him. That's a Hugh Freeze wide receiver if I've ever seen one. That's 6'3" or 6'4", played 2 years of basketball for Izzo, led the team in receptions and receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. That's a big time get. We need to be after him.
Let me see. Where's Keon Coleman from? Isn't he from
Louisiana?
Louisiana. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and my guess is if he's headed anywhere, watch LSU. Okay.
Hey. That's something I'm going to be looking
at. That's all I was wanting to know. I really think Casey Thompson's the real deal. I think he needs to be in the right situation. I've heard like 2 different groups of people talk about him, and it seems like some of them's looked at his stats and some of them's actually watched him play, but that kid can swing the ball. He gets it out quick. His deep ball accuracy is really good. I know he was in a horrible situation last year at Nebraska, and when you hear their fans talk about it, they say when he came off the field that team was awful.
Yep.
But I remember watching him play at Texas. He had times at Texas when he looked legit. So I would like to see him. I don't know if he's 100% healthy, but I would like to see him in a Hugh Freeze offense.
I will tell you what, your point, Iowa had the best defense in the Big Ten this past year and a top 10 defense overall. And Casey Thompson absolutely lit them up for over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. It was probably his best game, and I think Cole's broken that down. But that's Casey Thompson at his absolute best. He was dealing in that game and had everything working, had the quick game, had the deep ball, had the intermediate stuff. It was everything. There were layered throws all over the field and exactly how you would want to utilize him. And you saw a lot of RPO action in that game as well. So I think Casey Thompson can play. If he's the quarterback we settle in on, I'm not going to be disappointed by any means. I also think in that same vein that Peyton Thorne can deal as well. I mean, you're talking about a guy that threw for over 3,000 yards 2 years ago, had a lesser season this past year. I think threw for 2,600 yards this past year, but over 60% completion percentage both seasons. He's a big-time player himself. And if you're talking about looking to make comps, I want you to think about the best quarterbacks that Hugh Freeze had at Ole Miss, the Bo Wallaces, the Chad Kellys. Peyton Thorne is a mirror image of those kind of guys. That's what the mold he's cut out of. You guys breaking scoop here?
Okay. No,
Sorry.
Brooks is having to eat peanut butter and jelly because I haven't had a chance to run to the grocery store. He's also watching YouTube Kids while he's doing that, so I was trying to tell him to.
I hear you. I just saw that red hair just go right past.
Gotta love it though. He's been out playing in the creek.
There
We'll
you
push it
go.
to the last 2 callers, and then we'll close the call line. We'll go 5810, then 5792 will be the last 2 callers. So 5810, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Fellas, Anthony from Montgomery.
Hey.
Is it Anthony?
Yep.
Yes, sir, Anthony.
What's going on, big dog?
Not much. Quick question. Each one of you guys, who's the first quarterback that runs out on the field week 1 for us? That's all I got. Who do you guys got? Auburn starting quarterback week 1.
I like it. Good stuff, Anthony. Appreciate your call, man. Anybody want to start? I'll start. He's not on the team right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go Peyton Thorne.
I'll go with Casey Thompson then.
Okay.
That's where I was going to go too. I was going to go Casey Thompson.
Just to keep y'all guessing.
Yeah. I'm either one of those two, whoever they get, whichever one they get.
Yeah, one of those two. One of those two for sure.
Whichever one they get, it will be the starting quarterback for Auburn opening day. I think so. I think that's the whole point of getting them.
Yeah. Got to get one of them.
I like the question.
All right. The other person just hung up, so they missed a chance.
Oh no, sir.
It was 5872, wasn't it?
Yeah. You want to give a 5-minute last call to get in?
Yeah, we'll do that. If they call back in, we got you.
Hey, well, let's talk about Jalen McLeod real quick. If he is the one who's Ron Roberts, Jeremy Garrett, the defensive lineman, defensive line coach, the defensive coordinator, Ron Roberts, both tweeted out vague, commitment bat signals on Twitter. Yes. We're presuming or assuming that it's Jalen McLeod, the edge from James Madison, who is in App State.
Yes.
App State, who is in. Cole?
Yeah.
You look busy, man. We'll take it.
No. I'm good.
Okay.
I got you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's talking to it.
Yeah, if it is Jalen McLeod, what's Auburn getting there, Jhead?
Go ahead, Jhead.
So 6'1", 235-pound outside linebacker, a guy that plays a lot bigger than his size, gives you some legitimate twitch on the outside. I believe he's had 9 sacks in the last 2 years, with 6 or 7 coming this past season. Really plays well off the ball, and you can use him in a multitude of ways. So he can put his hand in the dirt. He's done that. I don't think that's necessarily what they're bringing him here to do. I think they'll play more odd man front when he's the jack, and they'll put him in space and let him come off the edge like a man with his hair on fire. He's got a series of pass rush moves. You'll see him use the bull rush. You'll see him use a swim every now and again. You'll see him use the rip. He's got a variable of different sets that he can put on you from pass rush standpoint, but a guy that can also get out in the passing lane some and has some athleticism to be able to drop and cover. So a really versatile piece. And I think the way Cole phrased it the other day on the board, and I thought this was perfect, is he is the prototype, maybe not the prototype size, but the prototype skill set for what they want in a jack outside linebacker.
Not my words, by the way.
Okay.
So, yes, definitely take that to the bank. I've looked at a bunch of edges in this class. I haven't gotten to look at Jalen McLeod like I want to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen him. I've seen enough of him to know that I would put Isaac Ukwu as my top guy that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I like this guy that Zach just mentioned from Jackson State, but I think that Jalen McLeod is just a touch under Ukwu because he's a little bit more versatile as a edge setter too. So I like Jalen McLeod, man.
Yep.
Jaylee, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, I know it. Who's to say Isaac Ukwu didn't go home and Auburn say, "Listen, dude, if you're going to take other visits, we're going to move on." And he goes, "Well, forget it, coach. I'm in." Very possible. Very possible. But however, with Jalen McLeod being on campus today, and I got to speak to his mom, and I think it's his dad, and they were fantastic people. They were loving it, dude. They were blown away. They were from Washington D.C. Just blown away. So I think all hands on it. What?
5792 just called back in.
Oh, it's like Bama with Cam Coleman. Oh, now you want back in.
5792. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is D from Pensacola.
What's up, D?
What's up?
Oh, if you say D's nuts,
I got
hang up on you.
Couple questions for y'all. I asked a question in the chat. Do you think there's some concern on if Auburn kind of slow plays Thompson and they want Thorne? Does that push Thompson to commit somewhere else and then they lose Peyton? That's one question. And the other question is, with Dylan Brooks entering the portal, does that change how many edges we want from the portal or next year's class? I'll hang up and listen. Thank
Good stuff, D. Appreciate your call, man. I really thought you were a prank about to say D's nuts, but that was
he's always
bro. I thought the same thing.
Oh, I know D. I know D from the chat. Yeah.
He's always asking questions.
I know him from Twitter too. He's awesome, dude. Yeah, he's
oh,
awesome.
Yeah. D from the chat. Yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah.
I sense that I sense that you are an Auburn fan who's been burned one too many times there, D, by that question, man. That I understand.
Okay, so he wants to know slow plays Casey Thompson, then you go after Peyton.
I think if Casey Thompson wants in, I think if Casey Thompson wants in, they will take him. While regardless of where they got him on the board, I think they're very close. And I believe in the position we're in right now, you just don't say no to either one of them.
Yeah.
You say yes. Like if you got somebody that's going to say yes, you take it right now. You don't gamble.
Yep.
And then what was the second question?
Are we going to take more than one edge rusher because we lost Dylan Brooks?
Personally, I think so. I think they would love to. I don't think anybody's surprised by Dylan Brooks going to the portal.
Which is why, Zach, the guy you brought up makes sense, because let's just say Isaac Ukwu, he's like, man, I got to take this down the last minute. Is Auburn willing to wait that long if they have another guy they think is really good? And if they were able to get McLeod in the boat pretty early, let's just say that. Again, these are hypotheticals. Maybe that's a guy they turn to and go, oh, well, we might have a shot there. So I don't know if I didn't get the feeling that Ukwu was slam dunk for Auburn. I just honestly, that was my gut feeling talking to him. I think he loved it, but he's going to be real impressionable on all this. And he was very honest about that. He's like, look, I've never taken these visits before. He said, I've been at James Madison and there's nothing wrong with that place, but I've never seen a facility like this or campus like this. So he's going to go check out some other places. He's going to like it all. So I just don't have a good read on what he's going to do yet.
Yeah, with number 2 being Ole Miss, right? I think Ole Miss was the big.
Ole Miss and Missouri seem to be who Auburn's worried about the most.
And rightfully so. Those are other SEC schools that have, playing time available and NIL dollars to spend. So you got to think of who you're leveraged up against. Because I think he also listed Cal and Kansas.
Yes, he did. He actually I don't know if I think I added in there. He was talking about their head coaches, and those are guys that he likes, and that's why they're getting a shot at him.
Right. And no offense to Lance Leopold or Cal, but we're not losing that battle if Auburn's all in there. Okay.
Leopold probably already recruited him, given that he's at James Madison. I would imagine that Buffalo could have been in his recruitment initially too. So, I mean, I wonder if he might have a previous relationship.
Now, I'll say this. Let me add this. Yes, he's blown away by campus. Yes, he's going to get blown away by other campuses and facilities. But it seemed like the two biggest things were need for his position and big spotlight games. Now, where are you going to get that?
Definitely not at
the SEC.
In the SEC.
McLeod last season recorded 41 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 8 quarterback hurries. 2 years of eligibility left.
Big.
Sign him up.
Yeah, and you think about where Auburn is in the edge room due to attrition. So you lost Romello Height, who would have been pivotal this past year. And look, I think that parting of ways was coming, whether that was Brian Harsin or not.
He go to Miami? Or no, UCF?
USC.
Yep. What? He went to USC?
Yeah, to the Trojans.
In L.A.?
Yeah.
Romello. Am I thinking of somebody else?
Romello Height from middle of Georgia. Or
No,
South Georgia.
He did. He committed to USC really soon after he hit the portal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So Romello Height has moved on. Dylan Brooks has moved on. You missed on an edge in the 2022 class, like didn't even take one. Or no, the 2021 class. I'm sorry. What class was Harsin's first one? 2022, right?
21. I mean, first full class was 22.
They fired Gus after 2020.
He finished the season. 21 class and got Caden Bridges, Jarquez Hunter. I mean, he was the head coach when they committed.
But yeah, that really wasn't it. That was a transition class. I don't fault him for it. 2022, they didn't even get an edge. Burt White's completely just buckshot.
He was moved out, dude. He was out before. I mean, he was never in Auburn.
Here's a name. Here's a name that they thought they were going to get. This one will bring back memories. Jack Pyburn. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, I did. Look, thought it was
I
done.
think he went to Florida. Am I right about that?
He did. Billy Napier offered it the last second, and they snagged him.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack Pyburn. Pyburn.
That was kind of the last hope for Edge in that class, and that was for the second signing day. That was a big goose egg.
Oh yeah, they went complete buckshot on that one.
So let's see. Quick recap: the 5 visitors in, 2 have left. We're assuming Jalen McLeod is in. He's leaving tomorrow afternoon. We'll know more on him. Maybe some of these cats might release it tonight on Twitter. You never know. I'm definitely going to have my story ready for Jalen McLeod. Transfer portal closes tonight. Do we have any questions that we need to get to, Zach?
Yeah, we can.
Let's hit about 10 minutes of lightning round from the chat. All right, Logan Adams. What's good, fellas? Nothing. I don't know a lot of things, man. Actually, it's none of your business, to be honest with you. Given that Peyton has an extra year of eligibility, Logan's my dude, so I can talk shit to him. Given that Peyton has an extra year of eligibility, does that automatically make him a top target? You think so, but maybe not. Maybe you just want one guy 1 year.
I think they just look. If I'm being honest, does the second year make it a little more appealing? Sure, because it gives you somebody that can be there for 2 seasons to give you some continuity. But there's no guarantee. If Peyton Thorne comes here and has a hell of a season, NFL draft, baby. You know what I mean? Deuces, I'm out. And then where are you at? So, and I think this coaching staff recognizes that. I don't think that's lost on them, that you're talking about a mature quarterback that's got 2 seasons on film of playing in the Big Ten. You get a season on film of playing in the SEC and it's a good season. I think the chances are greater than not that he's, in the draft. So whether it's Casey Thompson or whether it's Peyton Thorne, to me, there's a chance out of 1 year stopgap regardless. So I think you just take the best player or the one that wants in first, if I'm being completely honest.
Please do.
Yeah, I would almost answer that question no. I think the grad transfer is more of what they're looking for, honestly.
You think the one-year guy's more appealing?
Watch me be wrong, but yeah, that's my gut feeling on this.
Case Nicholson wants to know about some basketball recruiting, which Matthew Cleveland visited last week. The transfer from Florida State. Tyron Lawrence came in, I think, the day after he left. Might have been the same day. Transfer from Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Case, I think Auburn is in a much better spot with Tyron Lawrence. I actually think he might commit at some point soon. I know, but listen, not a lot of people. Kentucky's involved here.
Yeah.
Kentucky's involved. He's very good. He did when he left the visit. He did say, "Man, I kind of want to get this done pretty quickly," and that's why I think Auburn's in a very good spot. I know, talked to a source this morning who felt like they could be in a very good spot. Maybe know something in the next 48 hours. They're hoping, but we'll see. I think Tyron Lawrence is your top target, and I think if he comes in, it's going to be hard to get another guy, especially like Matthew Cleveland.
Well, specifically with the relationship Matthew Cleveland has with Charlton Young, who's there at Missouri, former Auburn assistant coach, worked underneath Shannon Weaver and Cliff Ellis when he was there at Auburn initially, but was with Lynn at Florida State for several years before going up to Missouri. Fantastic recruiter in and of himself, and I think that relationship is probably going to push him to Missouri if I had to guess. That's where my gut tells me that Matthew Cleveland ends up.
Same system I would use in saying Jaheim Thomas ends up at Wisconsin.
Correct.
Dylan wants to know, why can't Auburn get these 5-star offensive linemen? Dude, I've been thinking the same thing. Why can't Auburn get the 5-star offensive linemen to commit when they would have a great chance to start right away? It's a fantastic question, and I'm wondering the same thing. Now, Auburn did make 4-star offensive tackle Fletcher Westfall's top 5 today, but, hell, we even saw Egan Boyer, go to Penn State from North Carolina. And Auburn was, from everything Auburn was on this kid, and this kid was on Auburn. So, man, it's puzzling to me. Jhead, do you have any kind of theory as to why Auburn can't get these dogs when you've got all the bones to offer them? And table scraps and everything over here, dude. You got a nice little bed over here, couple of little hot golden retrievers.
If I had to guess, there was not a consensus on their board as it pertains to Egan Boyer, and that they probably have other targets that we just don't know about. I think.
But why can South Carolina go off the month of April? Unbelievable. South Carolina, 5-star offensive tackle, top 100 offense. Auburn can't even get an Egan Boyer. I mean, I'm not saying specifically. You can't even get a 3-star offensive lineman on board right now.
Sure.
You've got everything to offer him.
I would say look at Shane Beamer's first class, and we're more kind of piecing it together the way he did. So you're still creating relationships, contacts. These are guys that just got to Auburn. So you're going against a guy that had a 3-year relationship with several of these prospects. And South Carolina had a very good end to their season last year, knocking off Clemson. So they've got some things on film. They've got relationships built. And to the best of my understanding, South Carolina is really working some advantages in the NIL world right now as well.
Good for them.
The way their state laws are set up, they have created a nice little advantage for themselves. So that's what I would say as it pertains to South Carolina. But I do think that Auburn is working their way through the board. I do think this class is going to be filled with some blue chippers. It's just going to take a little bit longer to materialize than I think any one of us would really want. And I also think that there's been a concentration on the portal here that doesn't exist at South Carolina that may be taking away some attention from giving some of these high school guys some of the love that they want to go ahead and get in the boat.
That's right. Let me add real quick, and we'll move on. But I was going to go straight NIL on that.
Yep.
Jhead, I think you have to wonder where NIL is focused with certain coaches. Well, I truly believe that it was focused on offensive linemen in the transfer portal in the first window, and they got 3. Gunnar Britton was kind of wanted by some teams. Avery Jones was going to go to play for Illinois for Brett Bielema, who has a great track record with offensive linemen. Dylan Wade, we saw USC offer him. We saw all kinds of people offer him. He's an NFL prospect, Dylan Wade. So there was your focus there eventually. And now I know the past, and Auburn's had trouble in the past, but I think that can change, especially in the NIL world. Eventually, your focus is going to be the 5 stars in the high school classes, right? Once you get it turned around, and you couldn't get any 5 stars that could help you right now, and that's what they needed. They needed help right now. So I think that will help fix that a little bit.
I agree.
I hear you about Shane Beamer. These guys, the relationships, and I actually thought about that, Cole. The relationships were paid off big for Auburn with Dylan Wade in the transfer portal. But we'll see how that. Auburn Tigers 2 wants to know, Cole, this is a name we heard earlier. Is Auburn pursuing Notre Dame linebacker Prince Colley? To my knowledge, no.
Yeah, I don't think there's a heavy pursuit for him. I think he's on the board. That might be a guy they turn to if maybe Jhead Thomas doesn't work out. Now we know about Larry Nixon. Those are 2 inside linebackers that they really like. Prince Colley, this is back to my theory here. Younger guy, several years.
Oh, rather have a high school kid.
Well, you rather have a high school kid because you don't know. I mean, why? The question becomes, why did Prince Colley not make it at Notre Dame? That's the first question. If he's a young guy and he's talented, why did he not make it? Or if he's going to be a really good player and somebody we should take a shot on and use a scholarship on, and basically – that scholarship becomes dead in a way because he can't transfer again.
Correct.
That's if he's not good. And there's a chance that he's not good enough to play if he's transferring like that. That's the question in the transfer portal, and that's why you don't build your team out of the transfer portal, right?
I agree. And because the roster management piece is pivotal to this, Cole. And you think about the top 2 linebackers that they offered, and they're both guys. Well, Jhead Thomas can play. Even though he's got 2 years left, you've seen him play against quality Power 5 competition. There's not really a question there.
Yeah.
With Nixon, you're talking about a veteran. And this is also an interesting conversation I had, that there is a drive to want to bring in guys who've been productive at lower levels that only have a year left because, they're probably going to pick your system up pretty quick. And this is the May window. So you don't have that instruction from spring. You need a guy that can pick up a defense very quickly or an offense very quickly. And 2, if they don't pick it up and they don't produce, guess what? They're only on your roster for 1 year and you're right back into having that roster spot freed up. And we all know, like you said, you raise the floor through the transfer portal, you raise the ceiling through the high school recruiting aspect of things, through the high school recruiting, talent acquisition piece. That's where you do it.
Yeah. If Prince Colley had more production at Notre Dame and he was older, they'd probably be all over him, I think.
Let's see. Am I muted?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Good. Cappy Man wants to know, will TJ hit the portal tonight? TJ doesn't have to. He is a graduate transfer. He can leave at any time, and I think the consensus would be that he'll finish up this semester at Auburn and then hit and probably know where he's probably doing some back channeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Webb, do y'all think a surprise quarterback enter the portal before midnight? I don't. All right.
All the names of who I was expecting to hit the portal.
Same thing with what Jeffrey just said. Like TJ Finley's a grad transfer. He does not have to adhere to this deadline
window.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if there's another grad transfer out there, they can hit whenever they feel like it, but they have to get into a school before the deadline for being eligible with that school, 4/23.
Is there anybody else left that we were hearing about that?
No, I mean, not that I thought was realistic. I mean, there's one that just played his spring game. Sure, that we all heard the rumor on.
Oh!
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, Lord knows 24/7's moderator created a whole article over it. There you go.
I'd have no idea what you're talking about.
Hang loose, big dog. Hang loose.
Yeah, of the 2, all the names are in the portal of guys that I was expecting to enter. I'll say that.
WDE 33 out of the football transfers that have visited Auburn and or received an offer, who do y'all predict will end up at Auburn? It's a good question. There's not a lot, to be honest with you. Let me go back and Muskrat.
Yeah, I'm thinking Muskrat.
Jalen, there's your interior offensive lineman. Yep. Let's see, Jalen McLeod, obviously.
Yes.
Assuming that's who everybody's talking about tonight.
Yeah.
One of, I feel very confident, one of Casey Thompson or Peyton Thorne.
Yep.
Yes.
Will choose Auburn. Montana Lemonius Craig.
Possible.
No idea. Yeah, possible. Caleb Burton's possible, although I think he gets back closer to home.
I'm not counting on Caleb. I would put Montana Lemonius Craig first as a receiver pickup.
Didn't get good. Caleb Burton, he had a great time. I wouldn't put him in my prediction.
Yeah.
Isaac Ukwu, Cole, you talked to him.
Right now, I say no. I could be very wrong on that. That's my pick right now.
And Jaheim Thomas, I'd probably guess Wisconsin for him.
Well, maybe. I think some other schools have gotten involved. LSU, I think, is involved.
Dang, really?
Yeah, I think they've gotten involved. Now, he may end things after he visits Wisconsin. Who knows?
I'm gonna hope.
Wisconsin, that kind of seems like the one, doesn't it?
Well, it feels that way, right? He's from the Midwest. Luke Fickell's his prior coach, his former defensive coordinator, and inside linebacker coach is there. So all the relationships are there.
Yeah. If that situation were reversed and he had all that going to Auburn, this kid, you would think Auburn's got that locked up.
Oh, yeah.
He's from Cincinnati. He's, it's not like he's from Georgia or Louisiana or Florida or anywhere. He's from Cincinnati. His family's very, very close. His brother's at Cincinnati also, but he will graduate, and I think he wants to take his 6th year and walk on somewhere. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And I don't know that Auburn's offering that.
No. And the only thing I can think of is if somebody throws major money at him that turns his head, and look, I'm not going to fault a kid for taking a 6-figure offer to go someplace to play 2 seasons. Okay. Make your money, big dog.
Absolutely.
But I would think all things being equal, yes, Wisconsin is probably the spot for him. And I'm very intrigued with Larry Nixon now.
Yeah.
I liked what I saw of him. I like that other Power 5 schools are. That means obviously, we hit on something quality wise.
He's a good player, definitely.
Hope that helps, WDE, and hey, be patient because remember these guys are taking their time, man. A lot of these guys are. So Lee wants to know what's the latest a team can bring in a transfer kid. I believe it is technically it's the last day to add classes. I mean, hell, for fall semester, right?
I would go back and I don't remember when it was, but when Marcus Bragg last year, I mean, he was like a weekend before, right?
Yeah.
So that late, whatever that was that he committed to Auburn and signed it and got in and all that.
I think it's late August, middle to late August.
My expectation for this class, I think from an Auburn perspective, is they want to have all their guys in by June 1.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way they're attacking this.
An anomaly like Marcus Bragg might be something that happens, but other than most of them's going to be in for the summer semester. They want to go through.
That's why I'm iffy on Ukwu, because if he wants to take his time, I don't know if Auburn is – and they want him, don't get me wrong, but do they go ahead and fill up? I mean, if they see somebody else worthy.
And the rule of thumb with transfer portal recruiting, if you're asking for 2, you better be recruiting 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
That's just kind of how you got to cast a little bit of a wider net.
Oh, Josh Stargell wants to know, between Thompson and Thorne, who's the best fit, Cole?
Well, I would advise you to go read the story I put up breaking them down.
Yeah, that's why
I didn't make a pick. I did not make a pick in the story. I want you to make the pick. I give you the data and you make the pick. But if I were going to make the pick on this one, for 2 reasons, I go with Thompson. Number 1, I think he is a good fit with the RPO system. I think he actually throws a good deep ball, which is something you won't hear talked about with his game. Not as tight of a spiral, not as good of a, maybe zip on the ball as Thorne, but definitely an upgrade from what Auburn has right now. I think he makes mistakes sometimes, but the other reason is because he's a grad transfer, and I just think that works out better numbers-wise.
Let me ask you all this, man. We saw who Hugh Freeze liked in the December window. He loved Grayson McCall. He loved Devin Leary. Which of those 2 kids, Peyton Thorne or Casey Thompson, which of those 2 kids is most like those 2 quarterbacks?
Whew.
Yeah.
I think
is it not?
Thompson?
Yeah, I think they're
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Thompson's closer to McCall, right?
I would say Thompson's closer to McCall, but I don't think I don't think Casey's quite the runner that Grayson is, if I'm being completely honest.
No, he's
a better runner.
He's not. I'd say Casey Thompson is a capable runner. But what I like about Casey Thompson as compared to maybe Robbie Ashford is he's not looking to run. He wants to zip it in somewhere.
Yeah, right. Unless it's a design run, stand in the pocket and make some reads, big dog.
Now he'll throw it. He'll throw it into danger. And you got that going on. and we know what that looks like. We've seen that, but he also makes a lot of good plays. So it's not as I wouldn't say it's as bad as maybe TJ Finley could be at times where you're going to throw it in triple coverage and stuff of that nature. So
no, I mean, look, Grayson McCall to me is a stronger armed Stetson Bennett III, if we're being completely honest. That's kind of how I've got him graded. These two guys, I think Casey is probably skill set wise, he compares to Bo. He's just not as good. I don't think his arm's quite as strong as Bo Nix, but I see and not as fast as Bo, but I see very similar traits to Bo Nix when you're watching him play. And I comp the other kid to Chad Kelly and Bo Wallace. I think he favors those guys. He's got that kind of arm strength. He is mobile enough to hold the edge and carry the ball. So I think they're just differently built guys, and I don't know which one I'd pick. I honestly don't.
So it's a wash.
To me, it's a wash, and realistically, both are upgrades. Okay, the whole point of this is to find somebody that can keep you competitive in the SEC, right? Like if we're rolling in with Robbie next year, I think we've all said it. We're looking probably in the face at 6 wins. That's kind of what you're looking at. I think one of these two gives you the potential to win 1 or 2 more games, maybe even.
Completely agree.
You feel good about saying 7 wins with one of these two guys. You feel like, hey, there's a chance, we could get to 8 regular season wins. That gives you some faith there that you can do it.
Hayden Harris in the comments, he said, neither is a letdown, correct? I would agree. Neither is a letdown. Both are upgrades. Yeah, I'm just leaning toward Thompson personally.
Well, and look, all right, so let's worst case scenario. Are these guys a better fit for the offense than TJ Finley?
Yes.
100%, right? So even if they were to, say, lose a competition to Robbie gets pushed significantly. He's improved to the point that he's a more capable quarterback in this system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's worst case to me with either one of these two. I don't think TJ Finley is pushing Robbie Ashford right now. I honestly don't. I think he's a bad fit for the system. I think TJ's a great kid. I think he's got a big arm, but I think he's a bad fit for the scheme.
One of the points I wanted to make in the write-up about Thompson and Thorne was that Hugh Freeze is involved with this offense, but Philip Montgomery has a big say here, and he's going to call the plays. And he's had RG3, and he's had some interesting quarterbacks and guys who can run and he's had sort of a mix, and so has Hugh Freeze. So maybe those two guys, even when they're together, go, we can make a guy work. We can work around certain types of quarterbacks. So I think that's out there too. So it's not like we got to have this guy because he fits. And I think Gus Malzahn was real serious about that with his offense. I got to have this kind of guy. And he took Jarrett Stidham. That was sort of different, but really the runners were the best in his offense. So I think that they'll work around a guy if he's good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Let me say that I really wasn't listening to you, Cole. I was dealing with something over here, and I was rolling my eyes and stuff, and I thought, oh, shit, man, people are going to think I'm like dogging Cole. So Cole was talking. I was like, shut up, dude. God bless.
No, let me hear it. Go ahead. Tell me what you're thinking.
No, I wasn't. I was dealing with something, and I'll tell you after we go.
Okay. All right.
So we called up Zach. Yeah, 8:00, man. Great show. We had some really good questions tonight, man. We had fantastic calls. Oh, Edward got us going. Oh, Edward breaking the seal. Appreciate old kid country. Chris, my man from soccer. My soccer. What do you call it? My Mr. Miyagi. My soccer. My soccer. Mr. Miyagi. Kevin called in with a Cam Coleman update. We always love some Kevin. Jimmy from outside of Selma had some really good stuff. Oh, and Brianna's husband called. We appreciate Brianna's husband. I bet she sounds a lot more attractive than you would, so I'm okay with that.
There you go.
Dean the Machine called in. We had some good stuff there. Eric Moss, Anthony from Montgomery, and of course D from Pensacola called in, finished it off. Had several good questions in the comments, man. It's a great show. We appreciate, man. We appreciate everybody. And we're going to be back. When we'll be back. We'll be back Thursday. Kind of give us a little rundown on what the week will hold or has held. Expecting a commitment tomorrow. If you haven't already, get signed up to Auburn Live on 3. We're going to be posting updates throughout the day. More exit interviews, more people in maybe becoming a target. Auburn basketball potentially could have a visitor or two, maybe even a commitment. We'll see how that goes too, man. So we appreciate everybody listening, man. We appreciate everybody watching. For Jhead, for Zach in the back who came to the front and then went to the back. For Cole, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.